What's up, all my lifestyle athletes? This is Dr. G. Thank you for stopping by into this video. This is an acute back protocol that I've used on myself and hundreds of patients. Take your time to look at that first slide. This may not be for everybody. Please seek medical assistance if you're in a lot of pain and medical guidance. So once again, please, pursue carefully. This program is typically for flexion intolerant acute backs. I had this just recently happen to myself. So we start out with a little pelvic floor and diaphragmatic breathing. This includes dynamic pelvic floor depression and elevation at the same time. That's pretty key to make sure that you are accessing, the volume of the abdomen and how that relates to the regulation of space in the spine. Here's a modified plank segmentation drill. Obviously, it's focused on extension more so than flexion of the lumbar only. You'll notice that the shoulder, and T-spine, head and neck are relatively still and stable. This is a bit of a test as well. So I love this exercise to get a beat on how things are feeling and how that segmentation process is going for you. If you have really, really good control of each segment, you'll feel that extension. The next one is a hip extension in that Sphinx position. So we're already putting the back into extension, and here what you're trying to do is glue the front of the pelvis to the ground as you extend the hip only without rotating and shifting the pelvis. This is actually quite a bit harder than it looks. Big fan of this. This is going to challenge you an extension of just the hip as well. A little bit of rotation, anti-rotation as well. This is a press up, modified press up into Sphinx. It looks very simple, but I'm trying to time my breathing with this. Once again, diaphragmatic, low breath for now. Deep breaths into the belly as you also relax the pelvic floor. And this is obvious. This video is sped up, folks. So, I've tried to make it so this didn't last, 30 minutes, but that's not how long this program is. However, I had to speed it up for you. Next one is a Sphinx position with reaches, alternating reaches. This is awesome for anti-rotation because we're already in extension. This is going to be so good for individuals who have issues with some of those deep spinal rotation stabilizers like the multifidi and the rotatorius muscles. We'd be surprised at how often these are either asymmetric or atrophic or atrophied and aren't really working well, which can be a huge source of pain. The next one is the Sphinx position with reaches, kind of a rotational reach as tolerated. Sometimes rotation with an acute back in this extension position does not feel great. So, go with the movements that you can with relative lack of pain. This is a great exercise. You have a combination of active rotation on one side as you control with anti-rotation as well. The next one is a prone W. So this is just a pure extension pattern with a press up. And we're going to get a little bit of a pause at the top. It's not going to look like it here because I sped up the video. So you want to take a huge breath in on that first extension and then pause at the top and breathe out as you come down. So this is a two-part. You're going to breathe in, breathe out at the top of that first W extension, and then breathe in again as you extend with the arms and the press up. Once again, extension tolerance is needed for this. So if you have a condition where you do not have extension tolerance, this can be in things like stenosis conditions or other spondyloarthropathies. Please be careful doing so, and once again, get medical advice in the patterns that you should proceed with. This is just a little shift test. Sometimes when we get an acute back, we have issues, feels like we are antalgic or shifted to one side. When you can start to shift the hips back and forth this way with a relatively neutral spine, you're going to get a sense of if that's starting to improve with the tolerance with shifting. The next one, I believe, is going to be a segmentation exercise focused on flexion of the cervical and thoracic spine, now in hands and knees only, working on the extension of the lumbar. So you'll see I'm going into a little bit of flexion here because I was actually a little bit more tolerant, which is good. We don't want to over accentuate the pattern that's going to recreate the injury or the painful position. So I was focused on extension mostly. Next one is a core stability and anti-rotation drill where you're going to lift. This is called the beast position with contralateral limb lifts. This is more of a stability and activation exercise. If you can do this pain-free, that's a good sign. Keeping the hips and pelvis as still as possible as you lift. A lot of core activation here. Next, we're going to take a nice, easy and safe roll down to the floor, whichever works best for you. And the next one is an isometric bridge with holding with low breaths. So trying to essentially find a posterior pelvic tilt, drawing the anterior pelvis, drawing the anterior pelvis bones towards the front of the ribs, and also trying to make sure that you can take big breaths through that tension. So you'll feel those deep spinal muscles really working. This next one is a single leg bridge. You can also do the bridge here with marching when you stay at the top and then march the feet out. That's another anti-rotation and stability drill. This one gets the active extension with the hip extension and the glutes and hamstrings involved. The marching version is going to be more isometric. So you can choose either way. These are great anti-rotation. And once again, another strengthener of those deep spinal lumbar rotator muscles, and the kind of cross body pattern where we go from the glutes and the hips, hamstrings of one side to the deep rotator muscles on the opposite side of the spine. This next one is just a kind of frog position where you see I'll just, once again, testing the shifting. A little bit of a figure eight almost with the pelvis. This is analogous to that little shift test that I did earlier. So not necessarily an exercise, but more of an assessment. How is the back feeling in that particular moment? Can you shift and rotate the pelvis without pain? And this is a kind of a pure glute into the thoracolumbar fascia of the lower back, just extension without arching. And so you'll see I'm not arching my back. Once again, keeping the anterior pelvis, trying to keep it glued to the bottommost ribs of the rib cage. Next one is a core stability drill. This is I'm doing this without any sort of tools, but you can do this with maximum kind of isometric contraction on the hip and the knee that's bent, pulling in, and you're going to reach out nice and far with the extending leg. Just going to once again challenge stability. With any type of back injury, I'm still focused on working the 360 degrees of the midsection for stability as well, keeping everything turned on in a positive way. You can do this one with bands, mini bands, which I love to do here. I just didn't have them with me. This is a fantastic exercise for deep hip flexor psoas activation, which actually connects to the low back too. You'll get a sense of if you can tolerate that pattern with deep hip flexion, and also if those hip flexors are strong enough, or as strong as they should be, and if it's an area of focus. And then you're going to finish off by a nice easy roll so that you can transition yourself back to the ground to standing in the reverse order that you got up in a safe fashion. And that's it, everyone. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. All right, take care. Stay well.